joined as always by John Nelson in Atlanta and Carmen Asako, the master coach of the York Lions. I want to start off with this because Canadian Championship had an unfortunate night, I guess we can say, in Toronto. We'll start with that one. Carmen, there was a fight in the stands, and after the match, a capo, I guess, of one of the support groups got into it with Mark Anthony Kay and throws a megaphone, which I don't understand why. Just when you see this type of thing happen, does it make the club look bad or does it make the supporters look bad?
Good question. I mean,
yeah, the answer, Giancarlo, is yes.
To both.
Yeah.
To both. The answer is yes to both, and it's I don't know the details of anything right now. I think that's what you're trying to get out of me because you're a reporter and you're turning into that guy. But no, I don't know the details of it, but yeah, you know what? Emotions, one-offs, you know, it's good and bad in the same. It shows that they care, that's for sure. It shows that they care, and it shows that the players care. I think let's look at that bright side of things. I'll be the happy guy today. I think that it shows that a lot of people care about what's going on, and I hope there was no personal slurs at Mark. I haven't had the chance to talk to him just yet, but let's hope that they all come into the middle and hug in the end, because without the supporters, this club would have been nothing. And without the patience of the supporters, we've been through a lot worse times than this, that's for sure. And without the resilience of the supporters and the team, you know, this organization would be nothing. So I hope we both understand that, and I hope that we can come in the middle and find a solution, because Mark Anthony has made himself available all the time. Every time he's backed so many important initiatives in the game, you know, and people need to understand that, you know, that it is Toronto FC. You are wearing the badge, but you also go through daily lives, man. And he gave up a lot of freedom to come home. You know, they pull and push him every way, and whatever happened, I think the people in the stands need to understand that not only Mark Anthony, but the rest of the group have gone and give a lot of themselves, not only physically, but emotionally and mentally every day. So they need to understand that, and I hope they can understand that, and I hope that they can you know, come to a more reasonable conclusion about things. And in the end, I think that everything needs to be better, and everything regardless of what's happening on the field, it just needs to come to a positive conclusion, because this is more than one performance. This is more than 1 year. This is about, you know, an existence since 2007, where our fans have you know, led us to where we're at, have demanded things to where we're at, but it's always been done in a reasonable and a heartfelt way, rather than what happened the other day.
Yeah, and John, I'll get you to give your thoughts. I don't know how much you've seen of it, but
I've seen plenty. I've seen plenty. I mean, going back to the beginning of it, where CF Montreal supporters basically call out Toronto FC as an organization, and said as much on social media. You knew we were coming, and I believe that it was anticipated by the CF Montreal supporters is that there would be extra security or added security, however you want to phrase it. And the video is out where basically you have folks beating each other up high up in one of the end zones. That it's asinine, it's inexcusable, it's childish, and I hope. And Toronto FC has come out and they've said that there is an investigation. Then when the match is over, obviously CF Montreal gets the Duke, and we talked about it when the video came out. megaphones in general cost you anywhere from $55 to $220. If you were on the capo stand, and I don't know if the individual was an actual capo or just, a supporter with a megaphone. I don't know what the delineation is. I did not have thrown megaphone on my bingo card for Can Champ and U.S. Open Cup coverage this week. But for someone to think that because I'm as mad as I am about a result, and Mark Anthony comes over and he's having a discussion, I don't know how spirited it was, because all you see from the video from behind the dude with the megaphone, it's kind of it's jumpy up and down, and you kind of see things, and the person's like trying to be all clandestine and shoot it and all this kind of stuff. But for someone to be that hot under the collar about a result, that you take a megaphone, you yell at a player, and then you're so mad about the exchange that you throw the megaphone at the player. And I mean, it landed well short. I mean, there was no loft on the throw at all. For somebody to be that mad and that immature, and I'll call that what that is immature. It's childish, it's immature, and that individual and any individual associated with that person that does not report that person to Toronto FC or to the OPP, they have no business being at a soccer match. Just because you buy a ticket does not mean you get the right to say whatever you want and however you want to say it. It doesn't give you the right to take an object that's got some weight attached to it and throw it at a player. I don't know what the conversation was between the two. I don't care. Just because you buy a ticket doesn't mean you get to do what you think you can do. I hope that there's an investigation to the highest order on both of those fronts. I hope that those folks that were involved in the assault, and call it what it is, it was an assault, that they're charged to the fullest extent of the law, that those individuals don't even get to sniff not just a Toronto FC match, but a Major League Soccer match, regardless of where it is. If they're a TFC fan, wherever TFC plays on the road, Major League Soccer has an ID on this guy, and when the tickets are purchased or whatever, if you can track whom the individual or individuals are, they don't deserve to watch another soccer match for the team that they support ever again. They don't deserve to be in the building. They deserve to be thrown in jail with the appropriate charge and be made an example of across the board. I don't care who you're a fan of. I don't care, you go in casually and you're watching. I don't care. You need to be made an example of for what you thought you could do because you're such a fan, and I'll put that word in quotes, of your team. That ish does not deserve to be in this sport. It doesn't deserve to be in any sport, frankly, for a fan. But in this instance, the individuals involved in the assault need to be brought up on charges. The individual who was on the megaphone and threw the megaphone at Mark Anthony Kaye has no business being in a Toronto FC match ever again as a fan or a supporter or in that supporter's end zone. End of rant for the moment.
Yeah, I want to know what was going through that air quote fan there. Like, did he think that the supporter section were gonna go, way to go? You told them, you threw a megaphone. I don't know what reaction he thought he was gonna get out of them, but it kind of looks dumb now on the fan base because now it shows that the entire fan base is immature, can't be an adult in a social setting. Like, they don't pay his mortgage, the team. Like, I think he's a little too invested. He should evaluate what's going on in his life, but at the end of the day, some of these fans, though, that do this, you're walking a fine line. You have to realize, too, when that game's over, like, you go back to being real men, real people on the street. Like, if you end up seeing that person outside the stadium, like, got to be careful in some of these athletes. Like, some of them aren't probably going to be like Mark Anthony Kaye. They'll maybe go back and cooler heads will prevail. You're going to see in some sports, like, if you go to another sport and do that type of stuff, like, not as much athletes are so forgiving. So, like, you need to just conduct yourself better in those situations if you're that fan. And like, if you're Toronto FC's head office now you have to have extra measures when you have these type of matches. Something you should have done before when you know a rival's coming in for a Canadian Championship game. So I don't know what the end result's going to be here, but I would be surprised if that supporter section and the next time these two teams play, I would be surprised if it's empty. So,
Well, I mean,
Carmen,
and that's what CF Montreal decided to do. They're like, nope, they're playing again this weekend in Major League Soccer, coach. And CF Montreal is like, if you're a Toronto FC fan, we're going to refund your money. We're leaving that section wide open this weekend.
Yeah. Yeah, it's upsetting, but I want to say that Mark said, "Hey, can you pass me the megaphone?" But I don't know. I'm not sure that happened. But yeah, I know instances like this happen, and I agree with John. I just hope that there's a resolution. And and that this they could project their disappointment in different ways. There's so many ways to make more of an impact on what they think of the team or what they think of the performances of the team. But I agree with John wholeheartedly that this is going to have only negative impacts on the individuals involved and Toronto FC as a whole.
I mean, what you're doing in this is you're basically encouraging the behavior of others by doing what you do. I mean, the biggest thing for me is being an example. And I mean, being a positive example, because I got into this morning on the show and be an example for others the way that you feel it should be. And, be an example. I mean, honestly, how much of a man are you that you feel like beating somebody up because they support a different club than you makes you more of a man than that individual? I'm going to lay hands to this guy because I'm a better fan and my team is better. I know it happened. I know we have ultras. We talk about ultras all the time. We talk about them in every country in the world. But in this particular case, I'd love to know. I would love to do a sit down with this guy or guys, however many there are. I mean, each of these cases, I'd love to do interviews with these fans that were involved in the fight and with Thrown Megaphone guy. I'd love to do interviews with them, and I'd like to ask them what made them wired this way, that you think that what you do is an acceptable behavior to support your team. Yeah, assault is a fantastic way to support your club. Fantastic way to do it. Hashtag sarcasm font. As you can tell, I'm kind of fired up this afternoon. And I'd love to do interviews. What are you people thinking? Literally, what are you thinking in that moment? And don't play it like, oh, it got the better of me. I don't know what I was thinking. No, you were thinking something. Be a better example. Be a positive example for being a fan. Because think about who you rub off on. Think about who's in your circle. I mean, if you're an adult, chronologically, not necessarily mentally in some cases, apparently. If you're an adult, who's in your circle? When you have a conversation, if you are the guy in either of these two cases, or the guys or whomever, if you're having a conversation, yeah, I beat up a guy the other day. Who's hearing that conversation? Think about who is in your audience, who is in your sphere. Who do you rub off on? Who do you influence with your behavior? And for you to start whooping up on somebody or throw a megaphone at a footballer, and you think that that's the cool thing to do? Who else are you influencing? Who else are you rubbing off on? And you may not even know the final answer to that. But the next generation or generations of fans that are in your sphere, they see something like that, their initial response, if TFC and the OPP, don't come up with a final answer here, hey, we can do that too. We can absolutely do something like that. You can't have stuff like this because you don't know who you're rubbing off on. And it's far better to be a positive in this case than be a negative in this case. But I fear that what something like this will do, sadly, is give an excuse to others to sit there and work their way through a situation and feel that that's the way they should respond to being a fan for their favorite team.
Well said.
Like I said, I am absolutely I'm beyond livid about all of this. And we as journalists ought to be able to get to the bottom of this. And fans that we know that are a part of this should be able to take a situation like this and ostracize individuals like that for their behavior. And if ostracism equals jail time, so be it.
On a more positive note, I'll go to York United and the Vancouver Whitecaps. I was at York Lions Stadium, and I actually saw people there. It was a nice little scene. There was, I probably an estimate, I would say 2,000, but it was nice to see the stands somewhat full, and we saw Vancouver get the win, but it was a very competitive first half, and then they erupted in the second half. I'll start with Carmen. Austin Ricci scored the goal for York United, and he's a player who's had a lot of setbacks in his career, 2 serious injuries that he had to come back from. He gets a big goal here against the MLS club. What did you think of Austin Ricci now? Finally, looks like he's getting back to form and scoring goals here.
Yeah, great finish on his goal. I agree with you. I thought the game was never a 4-1 game. I thought that Vancouver was okay. I thought that York United more and held their own. I mean, they got some couple opportunities. Di Rosario had a header where he should have done better with. So, yeah, I mean, I think Nashi put out a more defensive lineup, which made sense after the unfortunate own goal off the crossbar off Adekubi. It kind of changed things, and obviously they had to chase the game, and that's what Vancouver wanted, and they ended up getting their 4 goals, and highlighted by a Ricci finish, which hopefully it's more things to see. I guess it's what's supposed to happen. Vancouver was supposed to come in here and win the game, and I do think that York United presented themselves, honorably and. Not that they deserved better, but I thought that they could have found a way, and Nico Giannopoulos did some very good things between the pipes as well. So yeah, eventful evening. I kind of upset that it was only 2,000 people. I mean, first year when we played Montreal, there was over 4,000 or 5,000. Maybe on the night they did it with the Leafs playing, but it was for me. It was a disappointment. Good MLS team comes to town, playing against a good York United team. I thought that we should have had a lot more support and a lot more fans, a lot more soccer people at that game for sure.
Yeah, the schedule didn't do him any favors there with the Leaf game, but. John, I don't know how much of the Canadian Championship you've seen, but US Open Cup, they play around the same time. Do you think this is good that Canada Soccer and the United States Federation coincide there with their league cups and just Open Cups like that? There's not going to be a disadvantage when, let's say, Vancouver and Portland play?
No, I mean, it's because you've had these. Well, I mean, there's only a disadvantage if you're bumped out of the tournament. So, if you're not in the tournament itself, I mean, the plot line is set to make sure that these tournaments are concurrent. But if you lose, then that's on you. And so it's the fortune of winning, I guess, is having to continue to play in your own tournament that you're trying to chase a championship and a CCL bid when the other team, in theory, just is not as good as you are and got bumped out of their Open Cup. But you have to look at how the level of investment and what the lineups look like and all that kind of stuff. But no, I mean, the fact that you have this concurrent, I think that was on purpose. So that way, when your breaks are what your breaks are and your regular season is what your regular season is, the fact that a team might have been bumped out of their tournament and the other team's not, that's just a factor of what happened when you're trying to chase after a title and you get bumped out by either a team in Major League Soccer or you get bumped out by a team in a lower division.
And what did you see at the Open Cup? Like any surprising results that jumped to mind?
You got a couple of cup sets, brother. There the one that kind of sticks with folks is there were two matches I think in this round that kind of stuck with folks. Pittsburgh Riverhounds and USL Championship, which is second division.
Bob Lilly.
Yeah, Bob Lilly. He may still be yelling at his players, by the way. Bob Lilly, that was one of the best stories ever. One of the best stories that I've ever been a part of. USL Championship, sidebar, story time with John. Pittsburgh Riverhounds are playing Atlanta United 2, and Pittsburgh loses. And it's older guys, it's like Robbie Mertz and older players going up against, academy kids and a couple of older veterans for Atlanta United 2. So broadcast is over, and we're playing in a baseball stadium. You're kind of chilling with the crew afterwards. You're kind of catching up with everybody. We look down from our position behind home plate in the press box, and Bob Lilly has taken all of his players. They have not been allowed to leave the pitch. They are at the center circle of the pitch, which is basically short center field. And he has given them he's calling them everything but a child of God and a sewing machine. And he is letting them have it. And this is like a half hour after the match. He started like 15 minutes after the match, and he just kept going. So half hour after, we're still watching what's going on. We're getting ready to go. We go down the elevator. The lights in the outfield are off. And as we're walking out of the press elevator, heading to the parking lot, we still hear Bob Lilly yelling at his team 45 minutes after the match is over in the dark in short right center field. But Bob Lilly and Bruce Arena got to go up against each other last round of the Open Cup. You want to talk about two surly dudes. Lilly got the win 1-0. And then the other one that kind of stuck with folks was the LAFC Monterey Bay match. There was talk that Steve Cherundolo actually got a yellow school bus to drive the team from LA to Monterey because there was talk that he might have taken the middle school team from LAFC to go play Monterey Bay in this one because average age was 21.7. I mean, LAFC is focusing on Champions League right now in Major League Soccer. They were trying to figure out a way to at least have folks on the field and play this match against Monterey Bay. Monterey Bay's average age was 7 years older per player than it was for LAFC's middle school team. LAFC's middle school team won in penalties, so LAFC and Steve Cherundolo still have 3 competitions that they're trying to win titles for, despite bringing in their U12 players and driving them to Chuck E. Cheese after the match after they won in PKs. So those are probably the biggest 2 storylines, but next round of the round of 16, the 2 USL Championship teams in Birmingham and Pittsburgh have home matches, so we'll see what happens there.
Yeah, and Carmen, what would this do for LAFC if they can actually win 3 competitions?
Yeah, I mean, I think that the USL Open Cup right now probably taking if it depends on the dates. I think it would kind of redefine their resurgence. They started strong under Bob Bradley, then they faded a lot, and then Steve Cherundolo kind of made a few tweaks. And found a way to win a championship, and I think that their concentration, like John said, is on the final stages of the Champions League, and they're concentrating on the MLS because they're obviously looking for a supporter shield. But right now, I think that it's a second thought, and now that I think they got through it. Yeah, they might concentrate a little bit because it might be more date friendly for them. There
They
won't
got
be,
El Trafico coming up next, brother.
well, that's
Could
been
be good.
playing Trafico for a little bit now. LA Galaxy is kind of limping through the season again.
Mm-hmm.
Like Greg Vanny, like they turned that around. Like he managed to get Chicharito firing goals, but like, what do you do if you're Greg Vanny? I'll start with John.
What do you do if you're Greg Vanny?
Other than pray,
I was going to say
a lot.
make sure that your LinkedIn account is up to date. Make sure that you've got an account on Indeed. I don't know how much patience is left when it comes to LA Galaxy. I really don't. I thought that Peter Vermes in Sporting Kansas City was going to be the same way, but then what happens? You go on the road in Major League Soccer, where traditionally you win 2 out of about every 7, and Sporting Kansas City thumped Seattle between the eyes last week. So I don't know. All I know is juice boxes on Major League Soccer is a foolish endeavor, because a fool and his juice box will soon be parted if you do anything involving juice boxes in Major League Soccer. But, I mean, the coaching carousel fell last week with the firing of Gerhard Struber. Sorry, the mutual parting of ways of Gerhard Struber with Red Bulls and with Ezra Hendrickson, who I think got completely and totally shorted in his time in Chicago. I think the problems in Chicago are more upstairs. I still think that, Christian Latanzio and Charlotte's probably on that short list. I think that Vanny's on that short list. I think Vermes is on that short list. Maybe even a Josh Wolf if things continue to go sideways in Austin because of the lack of patience from an owner. So there's plenty to play with. But Greg Vanny, he's got to be on that short list.
Carmen, do you think about Vanny now? Like, there could be openings around the league. Like, he could easily go into another situation, but LA Galaxy was a sentimental reason also why he decided to leave Toronto in the first place. Like, what does he do now?
Yeah, I mean, the blueprint's got to change. Sometimes you see managers kind of beat their heads against, a brick wall because it's in some case it happens with Bradley as well. And the best thing about someone like Bruce Arena is that he evolves, he changes. And I watched the New England Toronto FC game, and you could see that he's changed so much even with that group. And him and Bradley playing an 18 and Arena playing an 18 and a 19-year-old, that usually doesn't happen. And the simplicity yet the efficiency of Arena's team it's different from what he's used to, different from how he played from when he coached back and when he even coached the Virginia days or DC United or LA Galaxy. So my thing is evolving. I mean, Greg had an amazing blueprint here at Toronto FC. He worked hard and long because it wasn't simple and it didn't take 2 minutes to get through. But he knew what he needed. He knew how his team needed to play to win this league. And I think that he's kind of trying to redo that at LA Galaxy. And it's probably a different market. It is a different market, and different players and different expectations. And a lot more people watching. So that's important. He's not just kind of working, away from all the press and everything. So it's a different template and a different blueprint and a different team. So if he's trying to do what he did in Toronto in LA, it's obviously needs to be changed. Needs to be fixed. And maybe even it's the system. I know you could see he went from a kind of a stringent 4-3-3 to a 4-4-2-ish. And he's adapted. But I think there still needs to be maybe a new blueprint with the players that he has, and a new way about things, right? And he did an amazing job in Toronto, obviously, but there needs to be a change when you move from Toronto to LA Galaxy, different worlds.
On that note, John, I know you're up against the clock here,
I figured I'd break out my boy Terry Fox today here on a Friday. So be good, everybody, and I apologize. There we go. There's your Terry Fox, proud supporter of the foundation right there. So, if you haven't, listen to the new Gord Downey Bob Rock album, Lester Parfait. That's your purchase for today. And there's your other purchase for today. Book number 6, Noble Strong Lessons in Destiny. Do a Noble Strong or a John Nelson search. Since I'm left-handed, I'll do it this way. I'll go ahead and cross the body. Great story was able to put together about a great family in a small town as they fought a battle and how the town wrapped themselves around the family. So cool stuff there. And if you reach out and you purchase one, reach out to me and you might find a way to autograph it for you. So there you go. Noble Strong Lessons in Destiny, book 6 on Amazon.
John, enjoy the footy action this weekend, and we'll catch up next week.
It's a full weekend, brother. We got MLS Next Pro on Sunday. We got MLS on Saturday. And we got Newcastle Muckety Mucks in town Saturday morning. So it's going to be fun. Be well, guys. We'll catch up next week.
Take care, John. Well, Carmen, now we'll go to something I know you'll be happy to talk about. Inter AC Milan. Nice little result, but they have like kind of neutral territory there. What is Inter going to have to do to make sure that nothing goes out of whack there in the second game, and they can take care of business and go to the final?
I mean, I'm just surprised that Milan's still in it after that performance by Inter. They should have won by 4 or 5. It was a great performance. Obviously, Leao, I'm not sure about his status on coming back, but he is a difference maker in transition. Inter, with the moves and the decisions that Inzaghi made with Dzeko, with Mkhitaryan, just brilliant moves. But now he's going to have to do it all over again because 2-0 is not insurmountable by any means. And yeah, we're going to have our fans there. The Inter fans going to be there in numbers for sure. But yeah, lots to do still. But if it was me, I would say no, more of the same for sure.
Who was your MVP of that game? Because the way Inter played, like you said, there could have been a lot more. They could have had a comfortable lead going into the second leg there. But who do you think was a difference maker for Inter?
Yeah, I mean, there were so many. Like from Barella, from Mkhitaryan, Dumfries. They all put in an incredible shift. Dzeko was just, Martinez was just all over the place as well. Probably should have done better in finishing, but just Bastoni, all of them. I think they were all in. I think it was a total team effort. And I think that they needed that. I think there was definitely a group effort, and obviously their form is getting much better and in their league, and they're finding a rhythm at the right time. So they need to continue doing what I hate the saying, but more of the same, right? More of the same of what they were doing, because this is the stride they're on, and it should be more goals. It should be go after it. It should be, their proper pressing with the ball, do as much as they can with the ball, dominate the game like they did.
Yeah. And we saw the other semifinal leg there. Man City and Real Madrid played a 1-1 draw. Like, was that a surprise to you that now it looks like the second leg is going to be all open, all out attack?
It was a surprise to me. You saw the chinks in the armor, right, for Man City, especially after Real Madrid scored the first goal. They probably deserved a second, and obviously there's arguments about the Man City goal and on the ball being out of bounds and how the goal probably shouldn't have counted. But a great finish by De Bruyne. But that's Man City. If they're not going to beat you as a group, they have individuals that beat you. But you saw a little bit of weakness in their mental weakness. And we talked about this before. The one team that can definitely beat Man City is Real Madrid. So I don't think this is over. And I do think that I was surprised that Real Madrid didn't win this game while I was watching it. Yes, going back to England, but this team, Real Madrid's been in different situations in different stadiums, especially in England, and have had results. You saw what they did to Liverpool. So, and Vinicius and the young guns, plus Toni Kroos and Modric, kind of stabilizing thing. It's going to be interesting. I don't think this is over yet. And Manchester City, it's with Manchester City, when they go at people and they go direct and they play, they ball the speed of play and the ball movement. They always get results out of it. They always get 1, 2, 3, 4 goals. You know, against Real Madrid, they know how to suck the pressure. They know how to deal with those moments of the games, or deal with that 15 minutes or 10 minutes, and then actually find something. Because you looked at the first 15 minutes, 10 minutes of that game, you're like, oh God, Man City's playing a rondo, and boom, Real Madrid with their pace, Vinicius and company, and Valverde and their comfort level of defending and going in transition situations. And Man City plays into their style of play, because they're going to look to play, look to outplay them, outscore them, and the Rudiger and the Holland factor is going to come into play again. So far, Rudiger did an amazing job against Holland, pretty much matched up all the time. But Holland is tough to defend for 5 minutes, let alone 180 minutes.
Yeah, and like I don't know, just looking at Man City here, like Pep, I think has the most pressure because this team, the way they've been playing in the Premier League, the way Holland's been playing, would it look even worse if they can't get to the final compared to like everything else? Because going into this, the Final Four right now, it seems like they have a good matchup here with Real Madrid. Obviously, like they're probably their toughest test, but if they don't win this, is it going to be a reflection on Pep's job security going into next year?
Job security, no chance. But for him, and I think that's the reason he's still here. I think with the reason he's still here with the group of players that he has, this is his ultimate goal: is the Champions League with Manchester City. I think that's one of the reasons he hasn't gone on to the next project. But yeah, there is a lot of pressure, self-imposed pressure more than anything else. Though I think it's himself and the organization that he's built that is pressuring the situation, because there's no question they're the best football playing team in Europe. They're probably the best team in Europe, but there is questions when it comes to Real Madrid, for sure.
Because Real Madrid has all this young firepower that they've kind of been able to rebuild and stay competitive and stay in the Champions League hunt going through this rebuild. So do you think we'll see more of this? Like other teams follow a similar approach? We'll just get a bunch of young, talented stars together, mix in with maybe two veterans instead of gradually getting one signing for 100 million once they get like to 24 years old?
Yeah, but there's a long way for these young players to get to a level of Modric or Benzema or Toni Kroos. There's a long way for these guys to go. So although the sample size right now is amazing, with Kamuni and Camavinga and Valverde and Vinicius, who's probably the best player in the world right now. But yeah, there's a long way to go. But yeah, it's a great recipe. Modric and Kroos were pulling the strings yesterday. Tuesday. They had a lot of rhythm and they were like I thought they dominated the midfield against Man City. And after it was I thought that they would score 3 more. It's Man City when they give up that first, we've seen it time and time again, whether it was at Liverpool when they fell apart and they gave 3 more up in an important league game, or now they've dealt with it. But I thought Real Madrid probably could have had this game over with if they were better in front of the net, which you don't usually say. I thought that they were the better team and they deserved to win.
What do you think, Ancelotti? Do you think if they actually manage to get through Man City, win the Champions League, do you think he'll call it, or do you think he'll return again for a third one?
I don't think Ancelotti knows what he's doing, to be honest. I think he loves the day-to-day. I think he loves what's going on. Yeah, I don't think he knows what he's doing right now. I think it'd be amazing for him. Obviously, the relationship with him and Vinicius, if he does end up going to Brazil, I'm not sure where that stands. But I think he has another year on his contract, if I'm not mistaken. He'll probably see out the year. But I don't think he knows. I think he's day to day. I think he's roll the ball type person. He likes where he's at. He's comfortable where he's at. He's got an amazing group of players, and his system it fits the players and their qualities for sure. So I think that he has it very good where he's at right now. Not only because of the quality of players, but the quality of the players within his system.
And just shifting a little bit to Serie A, like Napoli won the Scudetto, ran away with it with the points lead they had. But going in from the top five now, it's been pretty tight. Juventus started off the year, it was a dumpster fire, but they actually turned it around and they're in the second spot with 66 and trailing them close Lazio, Inter, and Milan. Could these teams interchange here? Do you think we'll see Napoli, Juve, and Lazio in the top three when it's done?
Lazio's been sputtering against some big games too. So yeah, I do think that the last 4 games of the season are going to be key. The last 4 games of the season are going to be interesting. Inter's probably got a very tough go as well. Yeah, it'll be interesting to see who gets in. I don't have the schedule in front of me right now, but I want to say that Lazio, even though they're sputtering, they have probably the easiest road if I remember correctly. Roma's kind of played themselves out of it. Now I believe they're in 7th, so that's unfortunate. But they still have an opportunity to get into that top 4, which would probably be a Mourinho target. But yeah, it's really exciting to get into that Champions League spot right now. Juve obviously lucky to get the points back, so they look pretty solid. But it's for me right now. If Inter continues the pace and the way they're playing, the last 3-4 games should be very good for them. AC Milan without Leao is very predictable. And Lazio, again, it's the Sarri factor. He has games where he just dominates and they play at an incredible pace and they just break teams down. But there's other teams that when they can't break teams down, they're going to give up goals. So, whether it's 1-2 a game, they better score at least 3 goals a game. Interesting to see that stat. The games that Lazio wins, I believe there's at least 3 goals scored. So I think that's what they need to get back at, and that's Sarri's way. He's never going to change. He's never changed. He's been a very possession-oriented type coach. So that's what's going to happen. But if you don't score goals, and that's what they haven't been doing, they don't tie games 0-0. They're gonna lose games.
And one of the big stories here in Serie A, like Sampdoria, looks like they're going to be relegated, and kind of unfortunate. That's a team with a rich history. Even like a decade ago, when they had that exciting group with Pizzini and Cassano. What do you do if you're Sampdoria now? Like this is going to be a big, like just sort of fan base. It's going to be a gut punch of sorts here because now they have to go down to Serie B and work their way back up like similar to a Parma, like they had a rich history too. So when you're a team of that kind of status, like how do you get your fan base to turn it around and continue to support?
No, I don't think the fan base is ever going to be an issue in Sampdoria. I think the stadium is historical. I think the people will support their club, but it's just it's the youth system now. You always hear about Atalanta's youth system. You hear about the quality of different Pescata's youth system, and they're in Serie C fighting for Serie B. But you look at all these youth systems, you never really equate Sampdoria's youth system, but now they need to get it going. They need to make sure that they do some savvy buying, make sure that they have there's always going to be the 4 or 5 internationals that you can buy, but right now obviously the financing is going to be a lot less, and they're going to have to rely on their Italian players. They're going to have to do a better job getting those young players integrated into the first team right away. But I do agree with you that people will stop watching or stop attending or be less focused on Sampdoria if they spend more than 2 or 3 seasons in Serie B. So it's an important time in their club history to make sure they find a way to to get back up right away. Unlike
because like looking at Frosinone, Genoa was just pulling up the Serie B standings. Genoa's going to be back there, Serie A. So, like, as Sampdoria goes in, they're looking at a situation like Cagliari, Palermo, where you don't want to be there too long because looking at Palermo, they lost a lot of their status. Cagliari lost a lot where they used to be a mid-table fixture there in Serie A. So, like, do you see a team like a Venezia, like youth systems, like a Pescara, in the next couple of years, making that jump to Serie A?
uh, well, Venezia maybe, but they're a selling type group. Whether in City A or City B, they're okay. Their financial situation is stable. Obviously, they're going to need that push every 2-3 years to get into Serie A. Obviously, it's very difficult for them to stay there because they don't spend like the other groups. Um, but yeah, I think Venezia is where they need to be. I think Venezia is where they need to be as an organization, a profit gaining organization like Venezia in their player development and in selling their players. You know, Genoa is a Serie A team. Genoa needs to be in Serie A. Parma needs to be in Serie A. Those teams that are Sampdoria, needs to be in Serie A to understand what their market really is. So they're going to have to make a quick transition. And Cagliari was another team that should have been stayed in Serie A, but because they don't have that selling mentality, they have that winning mentality. They don't have that development mentality. Although they've developed some great players, it's about the now, and it's about the profits that they can only gain in Serie A. And there's also other teams, and Frosinone is an interesting story. Frosinone is probably odds-on favorite to go back down right away, because they're gonna look for investments and hope that these investments turn into a team that can stay in Serie A. But it was very short-lived, and actually they should have lost to Vaughan back in 2018 at some.
What was the score of that game? It was tight though.
Yeah, we won on a goalkeeping error, but we had lots of opportunities to kind of come through. It was a great day. Like and Frosinone was in City at the time and did make some and used their starters. And the next next week, I think they went to Detroit City and hammered them 7-0. So yeah, it was a good day. It was a good day for us, and it was a good experience for the kids. For the players, they all got at least 45 minutes. So yeah.
How do you even set that up? Like how do you make the call? Like who puts that together?
They were doing their preseason here with their supporters club and with one organizer. So they did their preseason here, and they asked for some games. And they asked us to play them, and I said sure. And that's what happened.
It's interesting.
Who knows? They have a big Frosinone supporters club in Toronto. A lot of Frosinone people from here. So yeah. So that's why they kind of apparently it was a great trip. Apparently they got everything they wanted out of it, whether it was Noto Saga or wherever they trained in the area. But yeah, it's good.
Yeah, you say they wanted games. I think they were trying to scout to see that Carmen Asako guy can coach. I think we want him to coach Frosinone. I think that was a real reason for their trip here.
Well, obviously it didn't work out. So I'm still here with you and good old Joe. Joe and John.
All right. First of all, Carm, you said 7-0. Correct yourself.
Why? What? 7-0.
That's number one. All right. I'm on here right now. Giancarlo, do you know what has happened 4 years ago today? First, I think you do. Let me ask Carm. Carm, do you know what happened 4 years ago tonight?
Is it 4 years ago tonight?
2019.
2000.
What did happen? I don't even know.
Oh my God.
Oh, we did the first show?
No. 4 years ago, first show. It was Kawhi Leonard. Bank, boom. And the Raptors win.
Okay.
All right. So that's number one.
Yes.
That's number one. Number two, because he texted me now. He has no balls to ask you. Happy Mother's Day on Sunday to all the mothers out there. Wanted to know what Carmen bought his wife. Giancarlo texted me that, so go ahead.
Sunday. It's not till Sunday.
So you're a late shopper.
I'm a late shopper.
All right. It's late shopper. All right. So tonight, Giancarlo knows this. Tonight around Bay Street, Scotiabank Arena, there's a big game also. I know you're
Oh, the Raptors are playing tonight?
I'm not even talking to this guy, all right? And he's making a joke. This is not a joke. This is life. This is religion for Carmen Asako. This is religion. The Maple Leafs play the Florida Panthers in Game 5. They survived Game 4. What's the score going to be in Game 5 tonight at 7 p.m. at the Scotiabank Arena?
You're asking me?
Yes. You know you have a new show. We have the soccer show, now the sports show featuring Carmen Asako. So it's Maple Leafs, Florida Panthers, Game 5. Give me your prediction.
4-1 Leafs.
4-1 Leafs. This is why he's going to have a new show. Giancarlo Lino?
Yeah, I'm not going to jinx it. So I'll say it'll be a positive.
Giancarlo will be replaced today. So, Giancarlo, all right. So 4-1 Leafs. That means Game 6 back in Florida, Carm. Back in Florida, Game 6. They already came back from 3-0. 3-0. I should say nothing, but, soccer show. All right. 3-0 down. 3-1. You're saying they're winning tonight. Are they forcing a Game 7 Tuesday night here at the Scotiabank Arena? Carmen Asako.
Yes.
So I just gave you your present for Mother's Day. Mother's Day, at around 10 p.m. tonight, you tell your lovely wife, all right, you know what we're going to do for Mother's Day? We're going to sit in the living room where you have the 85-inch TV, and you're going to witness the Maple Leafs beat the Florida Panthers and force the Game 7. And if you don't like it, here's $20. Go get a pizza, and we'll have pizza. Right?
Yes.
No?
No.
That will get you thrown out of the house, right?
Correct.
All right. So Giancarlo, do you like Giancarlo? Where are you going to go? Market Lane to watch the game?
No, I'm going to be probably watching it, and I'm going to be rooting for my guy, Mitch Marner. Because you know what? We were talking earlier about Mark Anthony Kaye getting some criticism. Mitch Marner's been getting some criticism, and correct me if I'm wrong, did he not score the game winner last game?
Yeah, but correct me if I'm wrong. When Kachuk sort of he go get this guy off me to the coach or whatever. Show some chutzpah. That's Italian.
Mitch Marner is going to be the X factor, and he's going to get all those media members that were calling for him to be traded for some guy with like 4 teeth, 5 points, and like 280 penalty minutes. He's going to puff his chest out and say, you know what, we're going to the next round. Mitch Marner's the guy. And until time, like, some people give him some more respect.
Yeah, was that guy on the Fired Up Network named Billy the Greek? Yes or no?
No, so some media members I've been seeing, trade Mitch Marner, but then they're the first ones to go up to him and say, oh, hey, Mitch, you played great out there. He's going to remember that. He's got receipts coming up.
Carmen Asako wants to know, which media members are you talking about? Are you talking about a guy who writes soccer, used to write for a national news outlet there, or what?
John?
No, I'm talking about hockey. I'm talking about hockey guys. And I think all the Leaf fans will know which hockey guys that I'm talking about.
Oh, him. Never mind. All right. So Carmen, back to you here, all right? You got a big weekend. Is your weekend planned around the Maple Leafs?
No, my weekend's planned around work. I got a game Sunday with the League One women in Vaughan.
So if you win that game, are you in a better mood getting your wife a better a Mother's Day present?
She's not my mother.
So that goes over well when you tell her that also, all right? That will go over well when you tell her that. Now, here's a last question here, one of the last questions. Carm, you've been a veteran of this game, married with your wife, I don't know, 15, 20, 25 years, all right? Typically Mother's Day, what do you do?
Just have our mothers over, cook a little bit of a meal, probably brunch, hang out, spend some time with the kids and the family, and that's it.
So
What's
you don't get her a present per se.
No, I'm not a present type of guy. I'm a present every day.
That's my present to her is my presence is her present. My
There you-
presence is president of the provinces of Canada, and but here's the other plan that works. Okay, Carm, just a secret. Giancarlo, you're your youngster. You should know this. Just give her your wallet for one day. You're bankrupt for the rest of your life, but that's it. All right, there you go, Giancarlo. You understand? Give the wallet. You're bankrupt for the rest of your life. That's it. There's the best thing I could tell you. All right, Giancarlo. I'll probably speak for John Nelson, Carmen Asako. This has been the Soccer Show. Happy Mother's Day to all the mothers out there. Happy Mother's Day to the soon-to-be mothers out there. And honestly, mothers out there, actually be good to the husbands, boyfriends, because they're cooking. They're doing it. Like Carmen said, he's there coaching. Then he has to come back and cook. What do you cook for Mother's Day, Carmen?
I think we're going to the in-laws for a barbecue. So I'll
Oh,
probably,
you're going for a barbecue. Where's my invite? You know, you could say the president of the provinces of Canada is coming by.
you're always invited. You guys
Is,
come.
is Giancarlo always invited, or is just this special for me?
Giancarlo, yes. If he ever leaves Woodbridge,
All right. On that note, Giancarlo, do you want to say 3 words here, meaning goal leaves goal?
I'm not going to jinx it.
What do you mean jinx it?
I just
Okay,
said,
Carm.
well, Mitch Marner's going to have a nice game. I'm not jinxing it with the score. I'm not going to say they're
But
going to
he
win.
jinxed
I'm
me
not going to say a
Marner.
parade.
But he doesn't mind to jinx me Marner. All right, Carm, close it out by saying goal leaves goal.
goal leaves